This is the Practical Homeopathy Podcast, episode number 168 with Joette Calabrese.
Hi, I'm Joette Calabrese, and I welcome you to our healthcare movement, yours, mine, and the countless men and women across the globe who have retaken control of their family's health with practical homeopathy. So, for the next few minutes, let's link our arms as I demystify homeopathy, what was once considered an esoteric paradigm, into an understandable, reproducible, safe, and effective healthcare solution available to all. This is the medicine you've been searching for. My unique brand of homeopathy, Practical Homeopathy.
Welcome to the Practical Homeopathy Podcast, and our subject today is worry. Now, we all talk about anxiety. I think that's very common in society today. But what about worry? Maybe you're not plagued with the deep anxiety day and night, but you are a mom like me that worries. Or maybe you're not a mom, but you worry about your pets, your family, your friends, your career, your finances. What about if you're a teenager and you worry about being bullied, or a grandparent who worries about their new grandbabies and how much time they'll get to spend with them? Well, regardless of who you are, worry shouldn't be on the forefront of your mind, especially if you can't let it go. Long-term stresses on the body can lead to many other issues. But in this podcast, Joette is going to cover some important homeopathic medicines that can help when worry becomes an everyday occurrence and when worry turns into something greater. So let's get started, Joette.
Yeah, let's get started, Kate. First, I want to say that some of the best worriers on earth are women. We're experts at it. Once we become a mother, then I would say worry is our middle name.
Right.
So yeah, it can be mild, it can go on, but it can also be within the range of normal. So we don't want to treat just every little thing that comes along because as we know, everyone worries now and then. But when it starts to affect our daily life, then we consider trying a homeopathic medicine to calm that thinking pattern. And we don't use it every day. We would use it maybe for a day or two and see how it affects us and use it only as needed. That would be our goal. So I know there can be moments of fleeting worry when your child learns how to ride a bike or when you're going to take a test or about your family going on a trip overseas or if you make it someplace on time. That's within the range of normal. But if you find yourself in a constant state of worry or it becomes something that you find affects your day-to-day living because you're spending your time checking up on your adult kids constantly or even your younger children, or not going to places because of worry, like not getting on a plane or not being comfortable enough to take the thruway. You get the picture. Homeopathy can often help. So I want to talk about a few top remedies that we could consider when we repertorize them in our meta repertory by Robin Murphy. And we look up on page, for example, 277. For those of you who have a repertory, it's kind of fun to do this, but if you don't, you can just follow along. There's worries, tendency to worry. And the top medicines are arsenicum album and calc carb or calcarea carbonica. There are other medicines too, but I want to just touch on these two main medicines. Let's go with arsenicum first. It's a person who is full of worries about trifles. They're nervous, they're anxious, they can be indecisive, they have anxiety, especially about health, about fear of germs, viruses, being poisoned, they're restless, and basically they turn into a hypochondriac. If it's a child that worries, they don't want to be alone and they can cling to their parents. And I have to say that this is the kind of medicine that we want to take. You know, when they say put the mask on your face before you put it on your child, the plane is going down.
Right.
Well, mothers often worry because they don't trust that the medicine that they're going to be using is going to act, whether it's conventional drugs or homeopathic. And they're worried about taking this job on themselves. And so this is one of those medicines that can be very useful to a mother that's always freaking about her child's illnesses or conditions. So let's go to calc carb too, because calc carb is an interesting one. Calc carb covers rumination. where it's that constant low level thinking and overthinking, overworking it. And then they become overworked and exhausted. And the person might sit and think about little affairs that really amount to nothing, worries about all their responsibilities, especially, and their duties. And this person who might need calcarb is apprehensive, and they might have anxiety, even with palpitations, and they can be forgetful. But let's drill down a little farther. There can be different kinds of worry, such as domestic affairs, or during a fever, or with nervous trembling, or someone who's overly careful, or sleeplessness that turns into insomnia, or even waking in the night. Those all can be considered when we're trying to choose a homeopathic medicine besides, let's say, arsenicum, album, or calcarb. So if you've heard the phrase, I'm worried sick, think about worry can actually cause physical ailments. And the most obvious conditions are considerations like high blood pressure, emotional eating. Someone is nervous or worried, they might find their way to the refrigerator. There can be, of course, insomnia or fatigue or irritability. Of course, there's much more, but those are some common conditions that we see associated with worry. So worry is under the category of stress, and we all know that stress can be an underlying cause of these diseases. So of course, it makes sense that we want to eliminate this chronic or even extreme worry as soon as we can, because that could potentially cause long-term stress, hence other diseases.
Joette, I know there's what we call a rubric in the repertory under worry, and it's called ailments from worry. So maybe you find yourself not being able to sleep from worry, or maybe you find yourself sick all the time and you're just worried all the time and one cold after another. What remedies might be found in that rubric?
Well, argentum nitricum is certainly very valuable for this. And I always think of Ignatia too. I've written and talked about Ignatia a number of times. Lycopodium is another one, especially if there's gut issues, bloating, etc. And then phosphorus. And phosphorus can be someone who has kind of a spaciness to them in that they are so worried that they come up with these elongated, elaborate scenarios of what could go wrong. They have a huge imagination. So these are other medicines we could consider. And there are many others, but those are some of the main. Plus, of course, calcarb that I mentioned earlier and arsenicum.
So this is a good exercise. If you have been studying homeopathy, go online and look up, just Google Materia Medica and then the names of these remedies, and you'll be able to read more about them and find out if this might be a fit for something that you or someone that you know is struggling with. So Joette, but what if our worries turn into something more? How do we know when we've crossed that line now and it's turning into a paranoia or anxiety or a panic? How would we know the difference?
Well, let's address some of the key differences between worry, anxiety, and paranoia. Generally, worry can be rational. It focuses on possibilities. Maybe it overfocuses, but it focuses on possibilities. Slight anxiety about future uncertainties, and usually solely resides in the mind. So what that means is that it hasn't gone into the body on any level. And some people just see life as a glass that's half empty. It's just who they are in many ways. And they expect the worst. It may not be in all situations, maybe just certain situations. They have no fear of poverty, but they have a fear of their child getting sick, or they won't get on a plane for fear it might come down. Again, we aren't talking about taking a homeopathic remedy for every little concern or worry, but if your family might describe you as the family chronic worrier, it could be useful to address this with a homeopathic medicine because it's kind of a chronic state of mind. Well, now let's talk about paranoia. And this involves irrational, fixed, and delusional beliefs that others are specifically acting to cause harm. And this is when your family says, Mom, we don't have to worry about Martians. That's not something to be concerned about. There are not Martians hiding behind the bushes in the backyard. Paranoia is characterized by a lack of evidence and an extreme distrust. Now let's talk about anxiety, which usually affects both the body and the mind. It can cause symptoms like a racing heart or perspiration or insomnia, or more often than not, intense restlessness. Anxiety, in a way, is a broader physical and persistent state, an emotional state that can feel uncontrollable and impair daily functioning pretty consistently.
So what I'm hearing, Joette, is that worry can be any time and it's mainly just thoughts, whereas anxiety can have those physical symptoms along with it and usually is more persistent and goes further than worry. And paranoia is more of an irrational fear based off of distrust.
Yeah, distrust that is irrational, certainly. So for this podcast, we're just focusing on worry, but I may touch on these other emotional and psychological conditions sometime in the future.
Yes, I want to also point out that you have much more information on these and other mind conditions in a course called Mindful Homeopathy. So if you want to learn more, I highly recommend that you go to joettecalabrese.com and check out the Mindful Homeopathy course. This course has many protocols that are associated with conditions of the mind. And of course, you have a lot of free blogs and podcasts and your free Facebook Live. So you can search on joettecalabrese.com at the top right-hand corner under the search bar if you want to learn more about these remedies or conditions that Joette has talked about in this podcast.
Yeah, and I would like to add just one more thought here, and that is our students tell us on a regular basis, and it's also, I've noted it myself, and so have you, Kate, that once you learn how to treat your family's conditions, the ear infections that pop up time and again, or the eczema that is maddening, or the injuries that occur in a family, because it's constant. The more children you have, the more of these conditions show up in your life. Once you learn how to treat these homeopathically, a lot of the worry about your children's health, your husband's health, your parents' health, even your pets, pretty much melts away. It may not melt away completely, but that alone, without a homeopathic medicine, can do a lot of good because you've learned how to take care of your family yourself. So I want to get this information into as many hands as possible to help you, the mother, grandmother, become the confident and competent healer in your home so that you can worry less. So don't forget to share this with someone you know who might benefit from this information. And we'll see you next time. It's my honor to share many lessons on this simple method of using homeopathy for free, without affiliates or advertising, here in my podcasts, but also my blog posts and Monday night lives. But it's critical that you learn how to use these medicines properly. These podcasts should serve as only the beginning of your training. Peruse joetteslearningcenter.com to find fun study group opportunities and in-depth courses developed by subject. So with the proper training, you can join the thousands of students before you in developing the confidence and competence to protect the health of your family and loved ones with my brand of homeopathy, Practical Homeopathy.
You just listened to a podcast from internationally acclaimed homeopath, public speaker, and author, the founder of the Academy of Practical Homeopathy, Joette Calabrese. Joette's podcasts are available on all your favorite podcast apps. To learn more and find out if homeopathy is a good fit for your health strategy, visit practicalhomeopathy.com.